Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be back here at BLF, at BIC, and wonderful to be in session to discuss Sajita's newest book. So Sajita and I know each other. We go back a very long way. I've always joked about one thing. So Sajita was working in a corporate office, and we met there. And after I joined, I think 1 month later, she quit. So I used to keep asking her, what's the connection? You quit after I joined. But we also have a little more history. We used to conduct creative writing workshops in the city, in colleges, in schools. So we've had a very good connection, and I'm very happy to be doing this session here with her for her new book, which is called The Search. So The Search, I think I don't want to tell too much of the story. I want to start with this quote by Sheryl Crow, who's a very well-known musician. Little souls find their way to you, whether they're from your womb or someone else's. So Sheryl adopted 2 children a few years ago. And the story, The Search, is not essentially about adoption, but it has a strong theme. The Search is the story of the protagonist, Laya, who is an adopted child. And it shapes who she is, what she, her decisions and the actions that she undertakes. Sajita, do you want to tell us a little bit about the book?
Yeah, so thanks, Anjali. That was a very nice quotation, firstly, you said. And about the book, it was from my personal experience that I wrote this book. And if you look around, you find books about adoption, but most of them are non-fiction books. It's about the process of adoption, what you do, and such things. But never did I encounter anywhere books that talk about the emotional side as to how an adoptee feels and what he or she thinks and goes through and what the worries are. So these aspects I've never really come across. So I thought, I like this quotation a lot by Toni Morrison, who says that if there's a story that you want to read and it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. So I thought I need to write this because I don't see this kind of story anywhere, even in Bollywood or even in any other kind of books that I've read. Or adoption is when they show an adopted child, they show as though the child grows up normally, and on one fine day when the child is say 25, 30 years old, some neighbor or someone else tells the kid that you're adopted, and the world comes crashing down. So that is not how it works in reality. And there's no realistic book really. So parents tell their children even from a very young age about the fact, and they tell them stories of adoption. So that is the reality. So I wanted something realistic to be there, and that's why I thought that I must write this book.
So there's one thing that, what you just said, that parents tell the children that they're adopted. So, you've written what Laya is feeling. Laya is a protagonist. She's 20 years old now. You've written very, you've given a lot of detail about what she feels as a 20-year-old. But how, and her parents are really loving and they're very supportive and very understanding. So, but, I don't want to bring your personal experience into it, but what does someone who has been adopted feel when they've been told at a very young age? Is there a sense of, shock and disbelief? And then, it's because, I'm trying to see it from, when she was young, how was it and how, how she reached that point of acceptance?
Right. So before parents go in for adoption, they have this workshop where they tell you how you should be telling your child. At each age, you tell them only as much as they can assimilate. So when the child is very young, you tell a story, you tell her in the form of a story. You don't tell her who that is, the person is. Then she kind of associates with the story. And as she grows up, as you feel that she's able to understand more about the world, then you can just tell her a little bit more. But then there are times there's disbelief, and there is, a kind of thing that why wasn't I born to you kind of a feeling. But yes, you eventually it's I think love conquers everything.
Yeah.
So you just have to show a lot of love, and when there's a loving family around who understands their concerns. In fact, whatever they the questions that sometimes that come up could be difficult to answer, but if you're there, if they feel that you're there for them through everything, then that's how. So every age you give them only as much as they can take. So I
Okay.
think that's the way.
Okay, so the search, as the book is called, is a literal search as well as a metaphorical search. So it's also a search for identity, and this is something that is there irrespective of whether you are naturally born or adopted. So this is a search for identity. So do you want to talk about how you brought those two strands together at a very difficult time in the protagonist's life?
The search here, when Laya goes searching for her parents, it is just the search for her parents, to know what her roots are, where does she come from. And the metaphorical search here is to find herself, who is she, to find her own identity and her own place in the world. And so, which is the reason why in this fiction, I put Laya through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
For her to understand, or for her to go through that, the very difficult phase, and understand herself as to what she doesn't like about the world, what she likes, or who she loves, who stands by her in her time of need, and overall for her to understand herself as to who she is as a person.
I wanted to know, I've always wondered, how do authors name their protagonists? Is there any particular reason why your protagonist is called Laya?
So when I'm naming my protagonist, I look for a very short name.
Okay.
So, it's
But
easy.
why? So that it's easier to type.
That is also one reason, actually. Otherwise, if you take a long name like, let's say, Damayanti, by the time you type it, it's going to take very long. So that's one aspect. But I wanted a modern girl. I mean, I wanted her to be in the present times. And if you look around, the names for girls these days are like very short, like Tia or Laya, or names like that.
Okay.
So then I thought it'll be a good name. And plus, I just love the name of Laya. And another reason was also when the parents tell her, you were named Laya because you brought a music rhythm into our lives.
Mhm.
So that is so these were some of the aspects why I thought she must be named Laya.
So there's one thing that I've always wondered, as a writer myself, a lot of time protagonists leave, the place where they are to find themselves. It's a common trope, it's a common theme. So here also Laya leaves the familiar, the comforting, and she goes in search for her parents and for herself. So how did it make you feel to write about this thing, this whole idea that you have to leave in order to find yourself? It's something that I've always come across, which is, it's like you can't find yourself sitting here. You have to leave. You have to physically make the move.
Right. I think that comes from stepping out of your comfort zone. So all of us live in our comfort zones and we feel very comfortable when we are in that zone. But the moment you're pushed outside of that zone due to whatever reason is when you suddenly, you find yourself in a different world, in a different scenario. And then you your worldview changes. The way you look at the world changes. Because you just stepped out of whatever you knew was very familiar and you venture into the unfamiliar. I think that's what also traveling does to you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, so it's just combining that element of traveling to,
Yeah.
also.
So there's one thing that we used to always tell our creative writing participants, especially Sajita used to, whenever she would handle that module, I think, talking about conflict and the sort of external conflict that you bring about in a story. And she would always say, what was that you'd say, Sajita? You push your protagonist into a tree and throw stones at them. So that was what I thought you were doing when you took her to that station, and then she loses everything, and I'm like, oh my god, what's happening here? And I was immediately, because I know Sajita, and we've taught together. So I was like, this is Sajita's putting to practice what she taught.
So I was like very worried when I gave my book to Anleep to read. I was like, oh God, now here is another, very established writer. And now she's going to look at my story in a very different way. It is not like a reader that she's going to read. She's going to read it like a writer. So yes, so I think in our sessions that we did, we said that, put the protagonist through a lot of difficult times, and then in the end, give her a reward. So what we used to discuss in the session used to be like, you make the protagonist climb a tree, and when it's already difficult for the person there on top of the tree, you start throwing stones at him or her. So you make it even more difficult. So yes, I had that at the back of my mind somewhere. So Laya was already going through a difficult time. I said, okay, now let's make it more difficult for her. And I put her into, so I guess that's the fun of writing fiction. You can make your protagonist go through a lot of situations that you come up with and, you imagine, and then at the end, come to a conclusion.
Yeah, but it was very realistic. What happened is, like things like she, getting robbed, getting mugged, losing her phone, and then not having enough, and then managing to speak to her parents, but not telling them what happened to her, because then, there's a fear of, I told you so, or, you're not fit to travel on your own. And, so she doesn't even tell them. I'm like, oh my God, you managed to talk to your parents. Tell them, and then she doesn't even tell them, and then kind of gets saved, sort of thing. So that was, I think, I was like, oh, okay, this happened. Thank God she's kind of, safe. But I felt like that part was just a slightly bit unrealistic, that, it, in a sense, it seemed very convenient to, how she got help at that moment for that, but I was glad she got help. I was relieved for her, but,
Yeah, I someone else also told me, I'd given it to someone to read, and they also said this guy comes in very conveniently at a time. But then Laya's life has been such, everything has been a coincidence. And I thought this would be another, and her favorite word is serendipity. So I thought just the right things for to happen in her life, so someone just comes in and helps her out.
So I don't know, I think I made a note of this. I don't know whether this is from your book, but I just noted you've come in search of something from the past that you can make your own. I think I took it from your book.
No, I don't think so. No.
But okay, so I've obviously, put down something which came to my head, and I don't remember why I wrote it down. But, so this is actually, it does relate to Laya in the sense that she's come, when she goes to visit, when she visits that orphanage, when she goes and speaks to that person who brought her to the orphanage, and how, she manages to come to terms with herself. But essentially that's what she's doing, right? She's come to, she's searching for something in the past that belongs to her, belongs to herself.
Right. So when she's going searching, she has something else in mind. She's going for something specific, but that's not what she gets. So it is entirely something else. So her search was for something, but she doesn't get there, but then she gets something, and that is herself. She makes peace with herself, and she now thinks that, okay, this is my life, this is me, these are things I have, these are things I don't have, and I'm okay with it. So she comes to terms with herself.
Okay.
So that I thought was an important, the acceptance that Laya has.
I was wondering whether she would get closure on this whole search, whether there would be any concrete answers on who her parents are. But it's for the readers to find out. I don't want to give away everything. I think Sajita has got some passage to read out.
Yes. So I'll read out a passage in which the parents are telling her the story of how she came home. All right. It's a story of her adoption that her parents have told her. It's a very short passage. Our merry laughter whittled just as abruptly, and a soft glow appeared in Ma's eyes as she began narrating my story that I had heard a million times before. With each retelling, however, I loved it more. The social worker had walked them through the creche of the shelter one day before the date allotted to them. It was just to familiarize them with the facility, and I was squealing from my crib, trying hard to suckle myself to sleep as my milk bottle had rolled over to my side. The social worker placed it back between my tiny palms, but I flicked it aside and howled again. Ma bent forward and cooed into my face, but that didn't help. She then picked me up in her arms and held me to her bosom. I was quiet so suddenly that it surprised everyone. Her mellow eyes then fell on Pa. I was 6 months old when I chose my parents.
So that was great. I think what I wanted to, another thing that occurred to me while reading this book, it starts with her birthday, her 20th birthday, but there's also this undercurrent of dissatisfaction that she doesn't know her true birthday, the day she was actually born, which kind of also is one of the reasons when she starts this whole search. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, this whole thing, children, youngsters give a lot of importance to their birthdays. It's a huge day to celebrate. And I think there's always this undercurrent of dissatisfaction for her for not knowing whether, this is just a day that she came home.
Right. Yes. So I've seen youngsters celebrating their birthdays in a very grand manner. But with Laya, she doesn't even know whether the day that she was, the day that she celebrates as a birthday is the actual day that she was born. So I wanted that vagueness to be there for her, and for her to, because I wanted her to feel that way, the little, the incompleteness that she feels within, and which obviously adds up to a lot when other issues come up, and then she goes for the search. So these are things that I thought need to add up, overall, and then she must go for the journey to find her roots and parents. And
okay, so it's a short book, and it's immensely readable. It's available on Amazon as an ebook only, I think, right?
It's a digital book. Yes.
Digital book, yes. So you can pick it up and read it. And before reading it, if you want to ask Sajita any questions, you're welcome to ask. I of course enjoyed the book. I had a few questions in the sense, mostly to do with things. Search for identity is a very strong theme, and I think made more so strong because she's adopted. She feels that she doesn't really know who she is. A lot of us feel that way as we are growing up. Coming of age is all about finding who you are, search for yourself. And in the case of Laya, I think it was kind of augmented because she knows that she's adopted, so she feels like there's another layer of herself that she doesn't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have a question. I'm just commenting.
Yeah. So there's so many things she doesn't know about her. Even if you look around us, children take their parents for granted. They just sometimes they don't even speak properly to their parents, especially the teenagers.
Preaching to the choir.
Right. So for someone. For a normal teenager, it would be like they don't want to see their parents' face. And here there's someone who is, traveling so far to just see who the people are, behind, who've been there. Not been there really, but who gave birth to her and probably did not want to raise her for whatever reasons that.
There was one thing I kind of felt that, I wanted to ask you in person is that when Laya decides to go on a search for her parents, her adoptive parents are very supportive, but I was kind of expecting them to feel a little more betrayed, sort of, I don't know, is it a sort of, do they feel betrayed? Do they feel that this is something she has to do, find the answers for herself?
No, I think every adopter, the parents who go in for adoption, they know that one day the child will certainly go, because that's a question that is unanswered, and they would certainly want to look for the answers. And that is something they're just waiting for. They know that is going to happen, and they're just waiting for the day when it will happen. And in fact, the parents that I have seen around me, the parents who have adopted children, they have been very supportive of this. In fact, I personally feel that they must support them in the search, because it is very important for them to find closure, whichever way. They may find the parents, they may not find the parents, but they need full support from the adoptive parents to go for this. For them, they need to have full support of the parents.
So the search could have just been a simple story of a girl looking for her parents, but there's also an additional stronger strand of pregnancy, she's obviously not married. She's just, she's 20 and she's in college when she gets pregnant. So that's another strand that makes things difficult for her in trying to come to understand who she is. And, so what made you decide to bring that strand also? There was a point where I was thinking, is she also going to give up her child for adoption, because it seems like a sort of thing, a sort of cyclical thing to happen.
No, so that's the reason why I put her in that situation, because for her, when she realizes that she doesn't have any, it is very important. Now, that's another thing that we take for granted, the biological connections that we have with other human beings. We take that for granted. But with a child like that, you cannot take that for granted. So, yeah, sorry, what was your...
No, so I said, why did you bring in this? So this whole thing with the pregnancy.
Yes, so I wanted to bring that, and I wanted her to not do the same thing that her mother did. So I was very particular that when she has this one chance of having a little biological connection with a human being in the world, she should have that for herself. So it was not to be controversial or anything here, but it was just for her to feel connected biologically with one single human being in the world.
I also felt that she understood her own biological mother better when she was herself, going through a very tumultuous period in her life. So where earlier there would always be a sort of anger against this mother who abandoned her. I think now that, she herself is in a similar situation, she is much more, there's a lot of empathy towards the woman who gave up for whatever reason.
Yes, there is empathy, because what happens in the society is, we are governed by certain rules in the society, and anytime you want to step out of that, the rules that have been set up by the society, is when you are seen as someone who's bold and things like that. So with Laya, it was very important in this story to have her go through that and come across as she is. Only then she understands what her mother went through, because obviously if one of the main reasons why children are abandoned in India, especially girls, is because of these aspects of society. Because you're pregnant and you're not married, then how do you raise a baby? How will you live in a society? That's a very important question. So which is the reason why she stood up. It was not with a lot of support initially, but it was very important for her to stand up and save this baby that she was responsible for, because she could not do the same thing what her mother did, and she knew how that felt. This is a really taboo topic, and not many of us are exposed to this. So that was also another reason why I thought I must write this, because as I said, if you look around, you don't find much literature on this topic, and also the one that about the teenage pregnancy aspect. So that's the reason I thought I must at least, with whatever a story that tries to make a slight difference, maybe.
Yeah, I think, it kind of opens up perspectives and helps people understand. I think, reading it from the point of view of a child who has been adopted, who, the various reasons, the various things that she's going through herself, it's very refreshing. It's very, it's very enlightening, there's a lot of, sadly, there are a lot of jokes about adoption, which are very insensitive. So this, the book is very sensitively written about that. And, I think especially considering since the protagonist is adopted, obviously it's written with a lot of sensitivity, and you can get it very easily on your phone. Just have to search for Sajita on Amazon and you can buy the book. Thank you. Thank you so much.